It's Tuesday and I already want a beer.
Is today Tuesday?
It is Tuesday.
Welcome and good evening. Thank you for joining us across politics. Pastor Toby Chuck Knox on the water boy. What does abortion, two pastors, and Stacey Abrams all have in common?
I'm not going to say that because it's probably bad form right now.
Okay. Well, first, they're all wrong. All right. We'll get to that more later. And then what happened in Loudoun County is not going away, just like uncured, untreated cancer.
You're talking about like intersectionality or
and the whole woke public school situation that happened in Loudoun County with everything that happened.
Is there like a dude in a girl's bathroom, that thing?
Yeah. We actually got two guests coming up, and one was the dad of that whole situation.
Oh, wow.
On this show?
Yeah, on this show. So
Toby
didn't know who he had.
Man, I'm excited about this show.
And he's not in jail right now.
Hey, let's stop and take a moment to talk about Fight Laugh Feast Club membership. By joining the Fight Laugh Feast Army, not only will you be aiding in our fight to take down secular and legacy media, but you'll also get access to content placed in our club portal, such as past shows, all our conference talks, and exclusive backstage content for club members that you won't be able to find anywhere else. Lastly, you'll also get discounts for our conferences, like $100 off. In fact,
you see I released Jason Whitlock and Megan
Basham's
live show on Saturday. Super excited about that. Lies, damn lies, and journalism.
Is that the title?
That's the title.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go, guys.
Yeah, there you go. So sign up now at flfnetwork.com.
So DeSantis was at Turning Point. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank.
Charlie Kirk's?
Yeah, Charlie Kirk's organization.
Yeah.
He was speaking at Turning Point this last week, and I found it interesting about how he was talking about education in Florida.
We've led more strongly on in drawing a big fat line in the sand to say that the people of Florida believe that the purpose of our school system should be to educate our kids, not to indoctrinate our kids. And to that end, we've done things like ban critical race theory in our K through 12 schools. We're not going to teach kids to hate our country or to hate each other. We're going to teach real history. We're going to teach them the truth. We're not going to let them impose their ideological agenda on our youth. We've also established a big initiative to promote American civics in our schools. We have a responsibility to make sure that the students that come out of our school system understand what it means to be an American. They need to understand that our rights come from God, not from the government.
Yeah.
Wow.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot there.
Y'all saw Eric Swalwell's response, House Representative candidate. It's not like separation of church and state is in the Bill of Rights or anything. And of course, the Twitters blew up yesterday
When Eric tweeted that. I didn't see the thread from that.
Yeah. No, it was pretty intense. It was pretty fun actually. But everybody's reminding him of the First Amendment, right? And which I think is actually worth us like reminding that Congress shall make no law establishing religion.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty. It's the liberals like to say separation church and state.
Yeah.
Separation church and state.
Right.
And what the First Amendment does is it denies the establishment of a denomination over the United States. The United States may not have a national church, but it does not separate God from our nation. It doesn't separate religion from our nation.
Well, and that's ironic because Eric is Congress. Yeah. And so he's tweeting this out like Congress actually has the power to do something that Ron DeSantis doesn't have the power apparently to do. That's how he kind of took that tweet.
But it's actually the other way. It's actually the other way around.
I agree with you. It's the other way around, but he's saying, Ron, you can't do this in your education.
Right.
And Eric is saying, but Congress should be able to legislate what happens in your classroom.
Right. 9 out of the 13 states, when the Bill of Rights was ratified, 9 of 13 states had established churches in their states.
That's right.
And that was not illegal.
That's right. That's right.
Now, whether that was a good idea or not, I don't think it really was.
I disagree with that.
And I'm glad that it slowly died out.
Right.
But the whole notion of states having a state church or believing in God or teaching that God created the heavens and the earth, that was my question for DeSantis is, are they going to teach him that God created the heavens and the earth?
That's what I was going to ask. So part of
creation.
I agree with Gabe with Swalwell. Like his problem is that he's fighting with Ron DeSantis over who gets to have the authority over education, which is like, okay, but
But
have we forgotten
had God said?
Who made the kids?
Yeah.
And then who are they responsible
Right.
for teaching and educating? So that's one thing. You know, with Swalwell though, that's kind of an easy thing. We are able to see that. Ron DeSantis comes out and says we need to train our kids to fear God, and it's like, yay! I want to know though, are we supposed to be teaching in government schools,
Right.
or should we be teaching government schools who they are to be worshiping? Because I wonder if Ron DeSantis would then answer that differently.
Right.
Because if you ask Ron DeSantis, well, who are your kids supposed to be worshiping? I wonder if he would say, well, the only one true God, Jesus Christ.
Right.
It's like, okay, so then why do you have evolution in the school that teaches something
That's
completely
right.
opposite than that?
That's right.
Because
And then secondly, why is the government, the civil government overseeing education?
see, I was walking it back to, but that goes.
I was just helping him. I was helping you.
Yeah, thank you.
Help him.
Because what I think we should be saying is like, I'm glad that they're doing. What do they do? The vouchers there in Florida.
I don't know if they are doing full on vouchers as they're doing it in Arizona.
But
there's
they're starting to move that way,
Yeah.
and I get that. I'm happy with that. But I want a governor who's able to say, if we want to have a civil environment, and with people who understand the government and the relationship to people, if we want to have a strong community, if we don't want critical race theory influencing how our kids are taught, and we want our kids to fear God and love their neighbor, then what I need to do is make sure that you have the ability to raise and teach your kids without the government influencing it. Because if Ron DeSantis leaves,
Right. Yeah. And fundamentally, what we need then is a transcendent standard.
Yeah,
right?
So
that's right.
he talked about truth.
Yeah.
He talked about God, which I appreciate.
He talked about responsibility.
I really appreciate that. But we've got to ground it in the Word of God. We've got to ground it in Scripture. Otherwise, the thing is if you don't have a standard, what the left's doing with critical theory and all that stuff, the right's going to do in their own way.
They already are.
Everybody you can have just a mosh pit of ideas, but it's all about power. It's all about manipulation.
I also want him to stop saying "our." As a civil magistrate, I want
our
kids. Like the way he talks about our kids. I don't want them to talk like that because they're acting like they're his. I want them to have a separation from how they understand your kids, your kids, and our community.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah,
Like
they're under your authority, parents. You're responsible for them.
Not our.
His job is to keep them alive. Don't
keep them safe.
Don't let shooters into the schools.
Right.
Don't let crime go unchecked. That's the civil magistrate's job.
So maybe when he talks about that, maybe the R is fine. But when he talks about education, it's not an R thing.
No.
That's a parent thing.
Right.
And here's the thing: is a lot of conservatives hear Ron DeSantis and they're cheering him on like crazy. Did you hear him? Alex Jones endorsed Ron DeSantis last week, and then walked it back because he ticked off a lot of his fans who are Trump supporters.
Because they know what's coming.
He walked it back like in a 24-hour day.
Yeah.
But you go through that video and you listen to that video, and Ron DeSantis says education versus indoctrination.
Yeah.
Like these things just go over conservatives. They're like, education.
Yeah.
We need to educate our kids, not indoctrinate our kids.
Right.
But it's the same thing. Right. And then Ron DeSantis says ideological agenda on our youth. We don't want to push an ideological agenda on our youth. We absolutely do.
Yeah.
I want to teach my kids 6-day creation.
Right.
I want my kids to know that that's the truth.
The Bible says that Christians are to bring, fathers in particular, are to bring up their children in the nurture and admonition of the Lord.
That's right.
Nurture and admonition of the Lord doesn't mean Sunday school on Sundays.
That's right.
Nurture and admonition, I mean, it can include that. I'm not
Sure.
against it.
Yeah.
It's way more than that. Deuteronomy 6 says, right? Teach them to love God with all the heart, mind, soul, and strength. Talk about these things when you get up, when you walk by the way, when you sit down at lunch, when you come home after work, when you go to bed.
That's right.
I mean, that's all day, 24/7. And parents who say, I'm going to send my kids to a place that cannot acknowledge God for however many, 40 hours a week, right? That's 40 hours you were disobeying Deuteronomy 6.
That's right. And so conservatives, I mean, we need to be far more thinking conservatives than just cheering on Ron DeSantis through this when he walks through this. And
Who's way better than lots.
Yeah, he's great.
I'm grateful for him. I get it.
I prefer DeSantis over Trump.
Yeah.
And then lastly, he says, this is our responsibility to educate our kids. And it's like, no, this is not the government's responsibility. Right.
It's the parents' responsibility to educate their children. Fathers, bring them up.
Right.
It's the church's job to disciple.
Yeah.
And so there's a teaching job from the church's side and of things. Bible studies, Sunday schools, all these kind of things help parents in raising their children. But nowhere does God give that responsibility to the civil government. The civil government has been given a sword. And if you give them a sword, That's what they're going to use.
That's right. Are you going to do Stacey Abrams?
So that's where I'm going. So
I've been really trying to prepare myself for this one. Go ahead.
So Stacey Abrams.
Just plug your ears.
She was doing a talk at a Methodist church in
at a what?
At a Methodist church in
I'm just
Georgia.
Did you say a Baptist church?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
On Saturday, it wasn't worship, but this is where abortion, 2 pastors, and Stacey Abrams are all wrong.
Oh.
I am the daughter of 2 pastors. I have a strong moral core. I was trained to read and understand the Bible, and I will tell you.
Hit pause. 2 pastors.
I'm sorry.
There's 2 options there. Either it's a mom and dad pastor, or it's 3 options. 2 moms that are pastors, or 2 dads that are pastors, and it's all wrong.
It's raised by 2.
It's all wrong.
Okay. It's all wrong.
No, it's
all 3 options are wrong.
Annie, go ahead.
There is nothing about the decision to eliminate access to abortion care that is grounded in anything other than cruelty and meanness and danger in the state of Georgia. Nothing. It is a medical decision, and in the state of Georgia, it is a dangerous one. Brian Kemp, and yes, I'm going to call his name, is a hard-right religious extremist who has decided that he knows better than any woman about her body, and has decided to make women second-class citizens in the state of Georgia in the year of our Lord 2022. Because a man is that wrong, it's going to take a
She said in the year of our Lord.
woman to make it right. That's why I intend to be the next governor of the great state of Georgia.
Wait, did she say all this is going to take a woman to make it right?
Yeah. What is a woman?
Yeah.
Stacey Abrams.
But
what is a woman?
This is where
That's in a Baptist church.
No, I said Methodist church.
Nah.
That's in a Baptist church.
When you say Baptist, Pastor, what do you mean by Baptist? Because right now,
I've been asked for a lot of examples.
Yes,
this last
I'm
week.
just wondering, when you say Baptist, will you define that for me? You don't mean like Covenantal Reformed Baptist?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm talking about Stacey Abrams Baptist.
The AME church, which, by the way, like. This is okay. So real quick here.
Oh my gracious!
So this is amazing. So you got this is probably it's an AME church. So why in the world? I don't even know where I want to start from. I want to start the breakdown of.
I'm still on Baptist church.
When she's no, don't do that. When she talks about cruelty. That word doesn't mean what she thinks it means. When she talks about having a deep moral center, right. I'm like, if
we're talking about the dismemberment of little tiny babies made in the image of God
and selling them.
And she's saying that it is cruelty to women, subjugation to women, not to let them chop those little babies up, not to let them take poison that will destroy their bodies and suck them out of their mother's womb.
And when you say abortion is medical care, that's what she argued. That's what she said in that.
But that's even like, before you even get there, I can't get past the first part of the fact that what is cruelty then? If that's not cruelty, I don't know what cruelty is in any way. Like, how do you, when you start putting, I want her to define for me, please define what cruelty is, because I'm telling you that you need not to cut a little person up in pieces, that you need not to kill a little person in the safest place that God has ever put a person on planet Earth is in the womb of his mother. And you're saying it's cruel that she doesn't have the right to be able to cut him out or burn him out and chop him to pieces. I don't know what, this is where it's like, how do you communicate with people when the words don't mean what the words are supposed to mean anymore?
And this is why if Ron DeSantis doesn't anchor his education in truth in Florida, you get this.
That's a Christian church. Any definition. In name. That's a Christian church in name. And if you go from conservative state,
that's right.
And you're not
wait, who's to blame for that?
I'm not allowed to answer that anymore.
Maybe you can answer. Maybe we play this clip for James White when he comes on. I'm gonna tell you right now, we're responsible for that.
Yeah, we are. Absolutely.
More cross politics coming up next.
Home. It's where you build your legacy, where traditions are started, seeds are planted, meals are shared, and stories are told. We are Chris and Natalie Carpenter, owners of Story Real Estate, and our team of top agents helps people find homes in Moscow, Idaho, and around the country.
Have you thought about a move? Contact us to get connected with a top agent who shares your values and puts your family first. Or reach out to us about our Moscow relocation guide.
Wherever you're looking to go, we can help you find home. Call us at Story Real Estate or visit us at storyrealestate.com and start building your legacy.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, the world's largest classical Christian homeschooling community. I'm launching a new podcast, Refining Rhetoric. If you like cross politics or just listen to hear what crazy stuff they're saying today, you will enjoy Refining Rhetoric. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. I practice the 15 tools of learning by interviewing great guests, looking at current events, and talking about cryptocurrency.
It's a good day when you're interviewing people in Texas, you know?
They're not from there.
In Texas drinking beer.
Shinerbacher.
Yeah.
Send me a 12-pack.
Welcome back to Cross Politics.
Join in.
I don't have.
Yeah, where's our beer? Gabe, come on.
It's not beer and Psalms.
Come on.
Wednesday, sorry.
That's tomorrow.
Hey, today's culture shifts like sand, but New St. Andrews College is established on Christ the immovable rock. It's a premier institution that forges evangelical leaders who don't fear or hate the world. Guided by God's word, they take the world back because they're equipped with the genius of classical liberal arts and God-honoring wisdom, thanks to a faculty dedicated to academic rigor and to God's kingdom. New St. Andrews College is in Moscow, Idaho, where we live.
Yeah.
I graduated from the school.
Ooh.
Find out more at nsa.edu.
I want to audit some classes.
Hey, we're really grateful to have with us two dudes who are currently in Texas, but from Loudoun County.
Yeah. They were part of the whole firestorm in Loudoun County.
That flipped the Virginia legislature.
And the governor.
Yeah, right?
I mean, Loudoun County flipped the governor.
Scott Smith, husband, father, tradesman, and local small business owner, an American citizen who got a phone call that their daughter had been beaten up in the bathroom, and they needed to come to the school immediately. That's when the nightmare began.
Wow.
And then we've got with us also John Tiggs, founder and CEO of Patriot Pub Alliance. John, Scott, thanks for joining us on Cross Politic.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, great to be here, guys. And appreciate you giving us a chance to kind of maybe straighten some things out about Loudoun County, Virginia, and also what we've kind of learned from that process.
Is Patriot Pub a restaurant chain? Because I want to have beer right now.
Yeah. Well, so Patriot Pub, go ahead.
No, so I know you guys just got anointed, so you're ready for this question. But what are we not hearing about Loudoun County? It's been in the news a bunch. Again, Virginia's kind of been a hot spot of a kind of a conservative resurgence. But what are we not hearing about?
So I think the important thing to understand is that not only has nothing changed in Loudoun County in spite of all the activities, but it's actually gotten worse, not better. A lot of folks think that somehow because the politics changed, that the schools changed, and that's not the case. And there's some lessons learned from that that we'd love to share with y'all.
So maybe just take us back.
Yeah,
because I started reading the story, but I want you to tell the story. What happened? You got a call. Your daughter's been beat up. What happened?
Well, we got a call that our daughter had been beat up in the bathroom, and we needed to get there right away. Upon arrival, my wife got there first. I got there second. The problem is when I got there, somehow I'd forgotten my driver's license, and they wouldn't let me in the door. I basically had to fight the SRO and give him an option. I'm coming in. You either tackle me or escort me. He brought me in. He chose to bring me in instead of tackle me. And I got into the school and realized that it was, that they were doing nothing. There was no ambulance, there was no police, there was nothing. And that didn't sit well with me. And, after asking a few questions and realizing that the principal and the SR officer were incompetent and possibly starting to try to cover this up, that I wasn't having it. And I started calling people out for what it was, and they didn't like it. And the next thing I know, they called the police on me. I was the very first 911 call out of that school, was an out of control parent.
Oh,
okay.
Whoa. Wait.
That same day? That same day?
That same day, my friend.
Wow. Okay, so I got to go back. So when you get there, what kind of shape is your daughter in?
She's laying on the floor. And the school she was laying on the she was laying on the floor, and my wife was sitting at a table, and they were told by the guidance counselor that they weren't allowed to talk about it. So my wife and daughter pretty much had to, talk through hand signals, and it was terrible. It's nothing that you would expect to have happened with something of this nature.
Explain how long it took just to get out and get a rape kit administered.
We arrived there, I believe, at around my wife arrived there around 1:20. I got there probably 10, 15 minutes later. I don't know. But we did not get out of there until after 3, close to 4. They held my wife and daughter hostage on the inside of the building. I was demanding the whole time to let them out of there. And it was just insane.
When did you finally actually get the rape kit administered?
The rape kit was finally administered the next morning at like 7 a.m.
So why was the administration holding and handling this, taking so long to handle this process that afternoon?
I believe it's because they were, trying to cover it up. There was a major policy that was about to get, voted on, with transgender rights and being able to, cruise in and out of the bathrooms at their will. And this was going to bust that whole narrative wide open. They knew it. We've figured out through FOIA since that they knew a whole lot more. And, it's when the special grand jury comes out with their findings and we drop our Title IX lawsuit, the whole United States will know. But,
Wow.
We're letting the special grand jury do their diligence, and we're trying to stay out of it the best we can. And we plan, not to drop the Title IX lawsuit, until the special grand jury tells us that, it's okay, because we don't want that to affect what they're doing.
Right. So John, you ended up through the whole uproar and getting arrested. Also, didn't you?
Yeah, we actually shared the same paddy wagon on June 22nd. But we, as you're finding out, we came to this place from two different, very, very different directions. Scott is a personal issue because for 3 weeks after the assault, nothing happened. No counseling, no nothing. No charges against the perpetrator even. And he showed up because he had been seeing viral videos go off of parents and teachers getting fired because they said they couldn't call a boy a girl and a girl a boy. I was there because I was there to support my community and the people neighbors and friends that had asked other people to come and support them because the school board wasn't listening to their concerns. And we had started, you asked about the Patriot Pub. We had started after January 6th, people getting shut down, not being able to talk. I had sued the governor the year before and done some protesting in the streets of Leesburg, and I had a mailing list of folks that all were concerned that they couldn't even speak anymore, and it's certainly not on social media. So we decided, since I had an event venue, we just get together and do it old-fashioned way and have a pint, and some fried chicken, and allow folks to connect the old-fashioned way. And so that happened just about the same time that folks that had been meeting in the school board, primarily moms, had been doxxed by 6 of the 9 school board members in a private Facebook group. And they said, we need help. So we had about, 2-3 dozen people at that point meeting. And they said, well, we'll help and we'll come and speak. And one lady by the name of Chantel Cooper, African-American lady, who's married to a white guy, said, this CRT thing sounds bizarre. I'm not going to tell my kids to hate their dad and just love me. So she shared that school board meeting and it went viral. You might remember it. And as a result of that video, a whole lot more attention got put on things. And we started having 50 to 75 people meeting. And after 10 across, the teacher said he couldn't call a boy a girl, and a girl a boy got fired. We had 200 or 300 people starting to show up who were mad and could see at that point the suppression that was going on. And they all said, what can we do to help? And by the time we got to June 22nd, when Scott came in one door and I came in another, we had overflowing crowd of almost 1,000 people inside that room. And we had to listen to a school superintendent begin the meeting by saying, folks, you don't have anything to worry about with this transgender stuff, because there's a Time article that says it's not a problem. And oh, by the way, we've never had a reported case of sexual assault in Loudoun County.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you got Scott there having to hear that going on, already concerned there's a cover up. And the rest of us are like, I don't know. And so when the public comment came, it came hard and fast. And finally, we were told we had till 7 o'clock, and there was almost 300 people signed up to speak. They had 60 seconds each, and everyone was pounding it. And we were told, if you make any noise, we're killing public comment. And people made the mistake of applauding for someone that did a just bang up job of hitting every point in 60 seconds. And before the people were done applauding, the school board had walked out, and that place was ready to erupt.
Man, it was intense.
And knowing that, I knew a couple hundred folks in the room, at least they'd recognize me, I stood up and just said, hey, folks, they may not want to hear what you have to say, but we can hear from one another. And having done weeks of protest before, I knew that if you were in a public place, given a public word, and heck, most of the people have been invited to speak, and they said we had it till 7, then we're just going to continue hearing from one another and the other side if they wanted to, until we were out of time. And we began doing that. We're going strong for about 30, 40 minutes, very peacefully. I mean, think about how peaceful you have to be to hear one person speaking without a microphone with 1,000 people in the room.
Yeah.
And then way back in the corner, a scuffle broke out. And that was Scott getting tackled behind by a sheriff's deputy.
Wait, what?
And,
wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So Scott, you got it right there. So what did you do to the sheriff's deputy?
I didn't do anything.
You better not tell me that you were just standing there and you got tackled.
I mean, you can watch the video and make your own opinion for what happened, but it's all over YouTube. And I mean, it went viral across the country, England. I mean, our GoFundMe page, we were getting donations from all over the world.
This is how Scott became the poster child for domestic terrorists at school board meetings. But the backstory is there was a bunch of agitators that were bussed in. I actually had a lady in front of me in line as we were waiting to get in with my hands in my pocket, told me, get my hands off her rear end. And she didn't say rear end.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were people looking to cause agitation. And that was my first perspective when I saw it happen. And it's kind of important to note that, you know, it happened really quickly and nobody knew the real story until 2 weeks before the election, when Scott finally was forced to come out. And the reason he was able to come out 2 weeks before the election was because it happened a second time. The perpetrator was put back in another school. And that's, by then we had gotten to know each other a little bit, and we were trying to encourage him to come out and speak about this because we thought it might affect the transgender policies, but he was told he couldn't. And finally he said, listen, I'm ready to come out because the perpetrator was put back in another school and
we were lied to
and assaulted another individual.
Oh, wait.
If
Okay.
I knew,
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
We got to go backstage. I want to pick up from right there. We'll go
Wow.
backstage. You guys stay right there. Don't you guys go anywhere. Hope you got your Fight Laugh Feast Club membership because this is about to get interesting. If you're
Find
single,
out how
get
they
married.
ended up in the same cell together.
If you're married, have kids. If you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic. Wow.
The season of Augustine and the season of Cassiodorus were very different moments in a crucial transformation that occurred in the history of the Western liberal arts. All right, so just stay like this. How am I doing here? So, yeah, you don't like this, huh? What does a Christian education look like when non-Christians are the ones who control the institutions of learning? This is a question that confronted Bishop Augustine of Hippo in North Africa in the 5th century AD. Augustine lived at the twilight of the Roman Empire. He himself had been trained with the best learning that Rome at that time had to offer. He himself actually came through the ranks and taught rhetoric in some of the best schools. And it was then, after he had come of age, that he converted to Christianity, but he wanted to continue the project of education, but this time for Christians. And so he had to confront the question, what does a Christian education look like when the unbelievers control the field? When they control the institutions, when the whole apparatus and curriculum of learning emerge from a pagan environment. And so Augustine wondered, what is it that Christians should jettison? What is it that Christians can embrace? What is it that Christians can adopt but in modified form? These are the questions that Augustine confronted when he sought to educate Christians in an environment when unbelievers dominated the field. A century later, we see a man in the south of Italy named Cassiodorus, who faced a very different educational landscape. He had to ask, what did a Christian education look like in an environment where unbelievers had abandoned the project of education altogether? The infrastructure of learning had entirely eroded. If education was to proceed at all, it had to proceed on the foundation of Christianity. The Christians had to be the ones preserving education. What does a Christian education look like when Christians are the ones forming the institutions, when Christians are the ones organizing the curriculum? Well, these two seasons in the history of education, the season of Augustine and the season of Cassiodorus, just 100 years apart, were very different moments in a crucial transformation that occurred in the history of the Western liberal arts. We're going to be studying this story. We're going to be going back to the sources. We're going to go back to Augustine. We're going to go back to Cassiodorus. We're going to ask ourselves which of their predicaments most resembles our own. Which can we learn from Augustine's period? What can we learn from Cassiodorus's period? As we confront these questions, we're going to engage these sources, and we invite you to join us here at New St. Andrews College.